Okay, so before we get into this episode, I just wanted to warn you guys that our brains are kind of fried from over the weekend being at the Indy GP and such. So really, we just kind of wanted to warn you this episode is kind of chaotic in a way. This is not how a normal episode kind of functions, but this is how this one kind of turned out. So also, the audio is kind of weird on me. For my part, my audio is like really low and I don't know why, and theirs is like really high, so some parts it may be super loud, some parts it may be super quiet, so just be warned. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. My name is Tristan Grider, joined with, as always, my incredible co-hosts Daniel Chaney and Justin Cox. How are we doing today, boys?
Man, what a freaking weekend it's been, bro. It's been an amazing weekend. Like, right here, these two hats hold a very special place to my heart, so let's just say that. But yeah, for sure, it was a banger of a weekend. Racing was great. INDYCAR race was calamity, but it was actually really good, at least in person. I don't know about watching on TV. I haven't watched it on TV yet, so. But yeah, what about you, Daniel?
I mean, bro, this weekend was a great weekend for racing. Like, I don't even know what I was expecting from that IndyCar race, but it was certainly not what I was expecting, and like I think in the good direction. Like it was so chaotic that it was like still good, honestly.
It was probably the best Indy GP I've watched, and
at least in a while.
And we'll get all into those details. I mean, I guess that's just how we'll start the episode today. But yeah,
there's no other way to start it.
This weekend, before we talk about like NASCAR and we talk about everything, we just have to talk about our experience at the track, because if you guys did not know, we went out to Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend to go to the GMR Grand Prix for, I believe, the 8th annual Indy GP. It was a super exciting time. We ended up going out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Super good time. Thursday we were there for practice for USF. We were there for Indy Pros, lights, like for the main series and NTT, and it was just a good time. We got to see a lot of cool liveries. We got to see some leaked stuff that hadn't been some stuff that hadn't been released yet. We weren't going to be the ones to release that, but I was like, that hasn't been revealed yet, and I was like, that's an Indy 500 livery. But it was overall a really dope experience. I feel like it. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Shout out to Burnout Sports for all the stuff that they've helped us out with. Because it was a super fire weekend.
Like, this weekend is like literally been my dream. Like, honestly, I feel like since I could remember, since I've been making YouTube videos since I was like 9 years old. Like when we talked about special access in previous episodes, we didn't know if we were able to like actually say, but we have media credentials. And so like, dude, like, holy crap. I'm literally like on freaking cloud 9 right now. It's amazing.
We've been fanboying all week, like on the inside.
It's been fanboying, but also like trying to fanboy on the inside and not fanboy on the outside and be like
and
playing
still
it cool.
Look professional.
And like I was like literally, I shook hands with Roger Penske on Saturday before the race, and I was like, oh my god, this is Roger Penske, and I was like, and it was just a dope experience, man. Overall. That's true. I fist bumped Tyrese Halliburton.
We fist bumped Tyrese Halliburton in the same 30-second span that we fist bumped Alex Palou. Like, what? Like,
it was a weird time.
Was Saturday?
I mean, I highly recommend, if you do not follow our Instagram and our Twitter and our TikTok at Indy Boys Podcast, because we hung out with a lot of drivers and interviewed a lot of drivers after their practice, qualifying sessions, before the race. And we got to meet a lot of our friends that we've actually had on the show in person, which was cool. We got to hang out with drivers like David Malukas, Dalton Kellett, who both gave us some free hats. That was pretty fire for them. I got to meet Stingray Robb in person, who's one of probably the nicest guys that I've ever met in my life.
Man. I got to interview Hunter McElroy.
Yeah, that's right. You got to interview Hunter McElroy.
Actually, future guest. Actually,
I guess that's a little leak. Yeah, Hunter McElroy is going to be on the show pretty soon. And then Daniel got to live out his dream.
Dude,
Daniel, you want to talk about that?
Dude, yeah, like, I mean, I got to interview Colton Herta, bro. Like, there's really nothing else to say. Like the professional me was like, all right, I gotta think of good questions, gotta make sure it's good. But like the fan of me was like, bro,
Oh my god,
this is
that's
cool.
cool.
like I was fine for the most part. I will say I was
Hey,
able to be professional.
I will say, Daniel, Colton Herta's 1-for-1 on weekends that you interview him.
Dude,
So maybe you're the special
Colton,
touch.
if you need me to interview you every week, I will do it till that streak is broken, bro.
Bro, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll
But
take one for the home dog.
highly recommend that you guys check out our Instagram because we interviewed more drivers than I think I can remember. If I'm remembering off the top of my head,
Pato.
Dalton Kellett, Pato Award,
Yeah,
David
Jack
Malukas,
Harvey.
Jack Harvey,
Colton Herta.
Stingray Robb, Hunter McElroy, Colton Herta. And then like we just would talk. Like there would be a lot of times we wouldn't be like interviewing people. We'd just be talking to drivers. Like
Callum a lot. Like Callum.
yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
Callum a lot.
That
Yeah,
night
we hung out with.
We dapped Callum
Yeah.
up and he went like that.
That's true. We did
That
dap
was
up
funny.
Callum a lot.
Bro,
But
we got to
overall-
briefly talk to Chip Ganassi. Like,
That's true.
Yeah.
We did briefly talk to Chip Ganassi. Okay. Do you want to talk about the coolest experience that's ever happened to me?
Let's talk about it.
So, on Saturday, Connor Daly's crew
Oh yeah.
invited us out to
walk the track. with them.
walk the track with them and stand next to Connor's car pre-race during the opening ceremonies of the Indy GP.
Hey, I actually got
Now
the
that
team.
all in itself was incredible. So shout out to the entire ECR team.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
Super dope of them to let us hang out and do that. However, the coolest part of that was I'm walking out onto pit road and I'm thinking to myself, dang, I've never been on this side of the wall before.
Oh, I know.
Right.
And I'm walking, and I'd been obviously on pit road before, and I'd been walking like on like the sides. I've been behind the fence. I've been on in front of the fence and that kind of stuff. But I'd never been over the wall. I've been on the track, but I've never been over the pit wall and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking out onto the grid, and I don't realize this until Jay nudges me and tells me that it's happening. I literally 3 feet from me and about a foot shorter, Mario Andretti is just standing next to me, walking out onto the grid. And in my head, I was like trying to play it cool. It's Mario Andretti. Play it cool. It's Mario Andretti. It's the greatest driver of all time. It's okay. It's okay. And we're walking like almost hand in hand together onto the track. And then I kid you not, guys, the man stops when we get to the bricks, touches them, looks up to the sky, and then keeps walking.
Dude, I had
Iconic.
chills, bro.
Iconic.
It was honestly
Honestly.
such a cool experience, and
I'm glad we get to like kind of rant. Well, not rant like in a bad way, but like
Fanboy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we finally get to let it out here. Like,
Because
We've been holding this in all week, bro.
Yeah, we have. So you're hearing everything kind of firsthand. So, yeah, feel special if you're listening to this.
it was honestly the coolest thing ever. And shout out to the people that ran into us at the track this weekend. It was really cool to talk to you guys and hang out with all of you. We gained a lot of followers this weekend.
Thanks to
Just
Marshall
from
Pruitt.
yeah, thank you Marshall
Dude,
Pruitt for the shout out.
If y'all like don't like have never met Marshall Pruitt in person, I hadn't met him until this weekend. He is so nice, literally so nice. Was not expecting him to be as nice as he was. Like I've listened to his podcast, I've seen his social media. Like he just
Half
completely
of the
embraced
news
us.
that we get from Motorsport Media guys, you don't understand, is from Marshall Pruitt, and the other half is
Yeah.
from Project Dive Bomb.
Yeah.
So like, and like, I get all of my news personally from J-Ski, but like, it's just like, it's incredible, like that kind of stuff. And then like to like have like drivers that we've never met before, like recognize us, be like, hey, like I watch your show. Like it just kind of felt good, you know. And you know, overall, super cool weekend. Jay got a bunch of cool photos. If you're looking at our thumbnail right now, Jay took a bunch of awesome photos of drivers and was just like sending them their way and stuff. And it was just cool. That's the best thing I can describe this weekend as, was cool. And that was just pre-race.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to the race yet.
Are we just gonna go straight to this race review right now?
I think we kind of have to. Let's go ahead and transition
yeah.
into some race
All
reviews.
right, let's do it.
Okay, let's go ahead and start with this crazy weekend that we had at the GMR Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So first off, we had a little bit of delay. It was weird. If you were following our social media, we were being told this as we were putting things out. This race was moved up from 3:45 to 3:07 and then pushed back to 3:46. So it was weird, but like that's just how it ended up happening. So the race ended up going on at the normal time that it was supposed to. So pretty much we're standing there with Connor Daly and it's the national anthem, and then all of a sudden in the distance, right as you hear "Land of the Free," and then you see a lightning strike, and then Connor turns back.
Connor, you went.
And I was like, oh, okay, maybe we're gonna have another 30 minutes. Didn't end up happening. All the lightning strikes that happened during the race, even though there was some that were visible on TV, were more than 10 miles outside of the track. So it wasn't a threat. So even though it was pouring, it wasn't a threat. Getting to the start of this race, I mean, it was a wet start, and I'd never seen a wet start in person before. So Daniel, explain to someone what a wet start is if they don't really know what that is.
So essentially what a wet start is for IndyCar is everybody has to start on the wet tires or the rain tires. And so the rain tires, essentially like the big thing that makes them different than like the regular rudder black Firestone tires is that they've got like grooves in it, so the water can kind of shoot out of the sides of the grooves. So obviously they're not sliding and hydroplaning everywhere, because when the track's wet, you're gonna slide everywhere. Like that's why they only run like rain or wet races on road courses or street courses, because obviously with ovals, that sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So that's why this race was actually the first rain race in the aero screen era of IndyCar. So in the past 3 years, because they started in 2020, this was the first rain race. So we really got to see kind of how the aero screen fared with the rain, and it worked. But it also caused some
get
issues.
Into that.
We'll talk
like
about
a
that
little
later.
bit more later. But started this race, fairly clean racing in the beginning. However, that all kind of changed when we saw a couple cautions early for some guys that were probably going to be contenders in this race that got kind of taken out. Joseph Newgarden was one of these. Was out of the race for a little bit, but then ended up coming back in. It was weird. Dalton Kellett got spun and ended up ending his day. Rinus VeeKay got plowed into by Devlin DeFrancisco, and those were some of the bigger cautions, I feel like. In the beginning of this race, obviously,
there was some with
Alex Palou did have some damage. He spun, I believe.
No, he didn't. He didn't have damage. He just spun into the grass because he locked up.
Yeah,
that's right, and he got stuck. He was the first caution of the day.
Yeah, because then he was pretty much 2 or 3 laps down the rest of the race, so he was out of contention very early.
Yeah,
so
this was a very interesting points day for a lot of drivers. But consistently at the front of the field, it looked like the Aero McLaren SP cars were the cars to beat. I feel like I bet you guys can agree with me on that. Pato O'Ward and Felix Rosenqvist led a lot of this race. However, the third best car I feel like all day was Colton Herta in that 26 for Andretti Autosport, and as we see, he ended up winning this race. But even he would tell you.
But credit to Brian Herta for that amazing strategy. For them to come in on hits early, like that was phenomenal. Like that was the race-winning move. So
even honestly. Even in the media center after the race, Colton Herta said, "We did not have the best car today, but the rain came at the right time. We had a good strategy, and I ended up taking advantage of it." Because I think everyone can probably agree that Pato O'Ward had the best car there that weekend, and it was very fast.
At least like top 3.
It was very fast. Other great cars that were there that ended up getting great finishes were Will Power, Connor Daly, Simon Pagenaud had a great run. But it was mainly Colton Herta and the Aero McLaren cars that were like in contention.
Scott McLaughlin was actually very good.
Scotty was up there. He just ended up spinning, I believe. And
it was
pretty late on.
It was on a restart.
Yeah. So then we kind of get to the midway point of this race, and
that's where it got interesting.
It's got really interesting. So Jay, explain to us kind of what the weather situation was around this time, mid of the race.
I don't even think we knew what the weather's, and we were there. Like, I don't even think we knew. So, like, okay, so we were standing there with David Land and his crew, Joe and Kyle. We were standing there with them, and like we're all just sitting there, like, what is happening right now? And Kyle comes out, and he's like, Racing Nation TV, by the way, if you don't know who I'm talking about. But Kyle, he comes out and he says, like, half the track is dry, but half the track is wet. And that's what they're saying on TV, and that's what most of the media people are saying as well. So we're just all like, what is happening? Like, what is this strategy? Like, we're watching the crews on pit road, like, roll out the alternate tires or, like, or primary tires or the rain tires. Like, they're switching back and forth actively before they're driving.
Some teams had both.
Yeah, they
like,
were just,
both
they
lined
just had it
out.
sitting there. Like, they just didn't know what to do. Like, and I mean, of course, in that situation, you'd probably go with wets because you would rather be grippier in the wet than you would and like have no grip coming out of the wet onto the drive.
Right.
And it was annoying because it was like right when all the drivers would put wet tires on, then it would stop raining.
Yeah.
Then there'd be like one driver or two drivers that had slicks on, and they would go out to the front. It wouldn't matter who it was. I mean, there was times we saw like 3 drivers take wet tires, and then it would like rain a lot, and then they looked smart, but then it would stop raining, and then everyone would put wets on, and then they would be like 2 people that had slicks on, and then they were the smart ones. It was like a back and forth dance, and it was the most confusing thing that's ever happened. And I guarantee you that the drivers didn't really know what was going on. All the drivers I've talked to had no idea that was insanity is the best thing I can say. And we were watching most of this race from the balcony of the media center, and had no clue. I watched Colton Herta's team roll out wets, roll them back, roll out slicks, then roll the slicks back in and roll out wets again.
Yeah, like at one point they literally had both lined out before he was pitting, and they were just waiting to like figure out if it was going to start raining or not to pull him up. Like
this race was so weird.
It was like a last second thing.
Like,
it was a weird race. It was a great race, but it was weird.
That was,
and
like you said earlier, that was easily one of the best Indy GPs I've watched since, at least in person, since I've been going since 2019. But like in person, that is the best Indy GP I've watched since I've been going.
However, we haven't even got to the best part of this Indy GP, and that's the fact that with the hellish weather that we had, and with the crazy like people spinning on every corner, this race got shortened by daylight.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
there's no lights.
It wasn't daylight. Remember, they said it was going to be either 85 laps or...
That's right.
Or
85
it was like they predetermined before the race because of all the weather concerns. They're like, listen, like this could go a long time, and obviously because the track doesn't have lights, they weren't going to let it go the full time. So they said it's either going to go the full laps or it's going to go a certain time limit.
It ended up that certain time limit was 2 hours. And this race ended around 6 o'clock, and it was dark. It was dark at the track. And it's crazy because it was... and they legit did an Indy Lights race
second
after.
half of one.
And it was dark. And I couldn't imagine driving in that. But it was insane. So, yeah. So this race got shortened. Colton Herta takes the checkered flag under caution and wins it. Incredible. Great win for him.
Time expiration. Like, not even, like, they didn't get the full laps.
No. Time expiration win. But a win is a win. And Colton Herta moved up 5 spots in the championship. And I believe he moved up to 7th, if I'm right. 6th. Incredible for him. However, that we're not done, because coming across the start-finish line across the yard of bricks, Christian Lundgaard could not see. On the radio, he could not see. He, going about 10-20 miles an hour faster than he should have, crashed into the back of Callum Ilot's number 77, and the damage was everywhere. It was a huge crash coming across the start finish line, and no one knew what happened. It was weird. We still really don't know all what happened, but the rumor is that Callum's
Light was on.
his light wasn't blinking, and Lundgaard couldn't see that, and literally debris went everywhere. That 77 was destroyed. We ended up seeing it in the aftermath. It was just toast.
Lundgaard's front nose cone and like the front wing was under his car by the end of the race.
And Juan Pablo Montoya had crashed just before that, and that's what brought out the final caution in the race. And that's what I thought was like where he got his damage from. I said that I was like I'm pretty sure, did he crash with Juan? And then I checked my phone a little later, and my friend Derek, he had sent a video of Lundgaard literally running into the back of Isla, and I was like, how did we not see that? We were standing right there.
Right.
Like, how did we not even notice that?
I was surprised you guys didn't see that, because I saw that from the media center. Because I had went to the media center to like do some social posts like near the end of this race, and so I watched like the final 2 laps from the center, and I saw that crash, and the entire place was just like, oh, and it was crazy race. It was craziness. And then now we're going to talk kind of more about the aero screens. In the media center and on television, every driver that you talked to said that they could not see. Connor Daly was saying on television that he was looking out of his side so that he could see where he was going straight. Simon Pagenaud, Will Power, Felix Rosenqvist, even the race winner, Colton Herta, said that they could not see. Colton Herta made a joke in the media center that he was watching the TVs down the front straight.
Screens.
The big screens down the front straight to see where he was going.
Absolute madman, by the way. Absolute madman.
Just made me laugh. And he would be like, he's easing over on Pagenaud to cut his line out and stuff, and that made me laugh. But to be honest with you, that's what some drivers were doing. And talking to some younger drivers after the race, every driver I talked to said that was one of the hardest races they've ever driven. Very scary race. However, this is a new era in IndyCar, and as Simon Pagenaud, quoting Simon Pagenaud, the aero screens will be adjusted. They need to be adjusted, but they save lives. And as we saw a couple weeks ago at I don't remember if it was at Barber or if it was at Texas, that it saved Callum Ilot's life.
It was Texas, because it was
at Texas.
It was it was someone's tie rod or suspension, something. Like,
but it saved Callum Ilot's life, and then the media center kind of got quiet after that, and it was like. And like, I feel like everyone kind of gets quiet when you talk about that you saved someone's life, because obviously the big reason why we have the aero screen is because of how we lost Justin Wilson. And it's the arguments are kind of gone once people bring up the Callum Ilott thing. And listen, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you try to argue that, like, who are you, bro? Like, really? Like, why are you arguing against something that's literally saving drivers' lives? The halo, the aero screen, whatever it is. Like,
it makes the car safer. And to be honest with you, it saved Connor Daly last year in the Indy 500 because literally had a tire hit his car. And the exact same thing happened to Justin Wilson.
And Connor Daly's a driver that's even like very critical of the aero screen, and he saved even his life, like, which is like just showing like, while it is like very effective, like there definitely is a lot of work that still needs to go into it. So I'm really interested to see what like Jay Fry and kind of the IndyCar team decide to tweak with it or add or remove, whatever they decide to do with it. Because obviously
I don't think
this race was so weird.
Yeah.
This race was so weird that they're gonna have to start experimenting with some new things, whether that's things like windshield wipers, or I know they already have like defrosters, but they haven't had to use them. I don't know. I'm interested to see what they kind of bring to the table to change or tweak the aero screen to kind of make it as optimal for every sort of scenario that it can be.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Go ahead, Jay.
And it's like it doesn't matter how bad it looks, because that's the main argument people bring up when talking about the halo or the aero screen. They're like, "Oh my god, it just looks so ugly. The car would look so much better without it." We don't care how the car would look without it. It's literally saving people's lives. Like,
Mm-hmm.
literally the
Facts.
halo is the only reason Romain Grosjean is still with us today. Like,
Right.
so
It's facts. It's facts. I mean, you look at it, and I know this is extremely controversial for some IndyCar fans, but it's saving drivers' lives. And while it might be putting others, you might be seeing it as putting drivers in risk, putting other drivers in risks. Uh, these guys are professional drivers that hop into these cockpits to race cars for a living. It's what they do for a living, and they're trained to race in these conditions. And they figured it out. They did figure it out. And at the end of the day, we had a winner, we had a podium, we had a race,
and everybody came home.
and everyone came home, and it was probably the best GMR Grand Prix we've ever had.
For sure.
So there you go. That's all I got to say about that. Let's read the top 10 from this past weekend, because honestly, guys, this race was fun. This was a fun race, and we got to see some cool guys in that top 10. I'll read it real quick for you guys. Colton Herta gets his first win of the year. Super cool podium. Simon Pagenaud and Will Power. Will Power is now the championship leader. If you would have said that to me after 4 or 5 races, I wouldn't have believed you. He didn't lead a single lap in the GMR Grand Prix, but he's the points leader. 4th place, quietly, Marcus Ericsson. 5th place was Connor Daly. 6th place was Felix Rosenquist. 7th place, Takuma Sato, who, dude, I'm letting you know, was top 3 for a lot of this race. Like, Sato was killing it out there. 8th place, Callum Ilott. 9th place, Christian Lundgaard. And rounding out in the top 10 was Scott Dixon. Some honorable mentions that I feel like we just have to mention. David Malukas brings it home 12th. That was his best road course finish so far. Tatiana Calderon brings it home 15th. Her best finish.
Which, speaking of, Tatiana Calderon there was a point in the race where it started to pick up raining and there was lightning, and we were all looking at each other. We were like, strategy-wise, right now, Tatiana Calderon could honestly win this race.
And then she pit.
This race was so unpredictable because there were moments where drivers that are typically towards the back, like Tatiana Calderon, literally have shots to win. Yeah. And you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Fun fact, Tatiana Calderon was the only rookie to lead at this year's GMR Grand Prix. She led 1 lap.
And she's also the only female driver to ever run that course.
That's true. Yeah. Very cool. And some other honorable things to say. I feel like this one is just interesting. Romain Grosjean brings it home 17th. Now, if you watched last week's episode or listened to last week's episode, every single one of us picked Romain Grosjean to do well in this race, seeing as he's never finished worse than second here. This course has been very good to former F1 drivers. And it was just kind of surprising.
I know he had an incident with Harvey, and I think that's kind of...
He did, but ended up finishing...
Harvey got revenge for Graham.
Yeah, for real. But it was interesting. So yeah, that's all I really got to say about this race. And obviously, we had it firsthand experience as we literally saw practice, qualifying, the race. We watched literally all the practices, qualifying, the fast 6, like... We were there, guys. Mm-hmm. And as a fan's perspective and as a media person's perspective, this is everything that we had to tell you guys about this. And I mean, we've been talking about this race for probably about 45 minutes now, and it's just like how it goes. And we still have another pretty much half this episode to get to. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like we're going to wrap up the Indy GP part of this show. But was this race good?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yes, it was. We're going to give this to you guys our little ranking out of 10. I'm going to give this Indy GP an 8.7 out of 10. That's my ranking.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Let's go. 8.7 out of 10.
I thought it was really good. It wasn't quite Texas good because Texas from this season was, in my opinion, like a modern classic of a race. But this honestly could low-key be one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jay, what do you think?
I honestly give it a 9
All
because
right.
it doesn't get that final point just for the simple fact, and I know this is kind of hard to prepare for if it hasn't already happened, but like the aero screen stuff, if just for some reason they had already figured out the aero screen stuff, and I understand why they didn't, it's never happened, so like it makes sense. But like just if they had the aero screen stuff figured out and the drivers could actually have like great visibility and stuff and be able to race each other a little more in the rain, it would have been a perfect 10 in my opinion.
It was a very good week. Good week in the IndyCar world. Let's go ahead and transition to NASCAR now. We had some really cool races at Kansas. We had 2 of them, Truck Series and the Cup Series. The Truck Series race dominated by Zane Smith. So none of us actually picked Zane. This is actually the first truck race this season that none of us have picked Zane Smith. And he ended up winning. Yeah. So congratulations to Zane Smith. As most of you know, he is my championship pick. I picked him at the beginning of the season. So I'm very happy with the Zane Smith masterclass at Kansas. Now let's go to the Cup race because this bad boy was interesting. Now, the next gen, first off, I think you guys will agree with me on this, has saved mile and a halves for NASCAR.
Yes, I tweeted
Daniel, what do you have to say about the next gen at Kansas?
Dude, just the next gen's been like so much more consistent, at least like package wise. Like, I just remember like last year when I was like kind of watching NASCAR for the first time, like, so like some of those like packages that just kind of those intermediate tracks, like they were fine, like they weren't awful in my opinion, but just kind of were predictable at times, and it would be between 3 or 4 drivers. But like this season, they've been really good for the most part. I don't think there's been a bad intermediate track race.
Yeah, this has been a really good couple of it's been a really good couple of races that we've had. Like at racetracks that sometimes in the past have been boring. For example, like Auto Club was incredible this season. Kansas was great this season. The only races I feel like that weren't like incredible this season were like short track stint.
Yeah, I was about to say like how short tracks, which are typically like the most entertaining races, how are they the boring ones this season so far?
Don't know.
They just got to work on that package for him.
That's
we took everything and put it for intermediates. We completely erased short tracks.
Right.
So,
but yeah, this race was pretty cool. Christopher Bell ended up getting the pole. I believe that's his second pole of the season so far. First thing I gotta say about this race. Guess what, guys? You can pass at Kansas now.
Yeah. I remember last season you couldn't.
The whole reason Kevin Harvick didn't win the championship in 2020 was because you couldn't pass at Kansas.
Yeah.
So just saying. But man, this was a good race. Toyota dominant. All 6 of the Toyotas finished in the top 10. And it was pure domination by Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 Racing. They were incredible. Like, it was just good. However, the one fault of this race, and it's a very big one because it was terrible. This was the worst part of this race, and it's been the worst part of almost every race this season, is that NASCAR needs to figure out these frickin' tires. Because, okay, I'm going to name off a list of drivers for you guys really quick. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to make this argument. I saw this tweet, and this guy made a valid point. The teams are putting a lot of caster on the tire, which scrubs off more grip to make the car faster, basically. That's why the tires are exploding. It's not Goodyear. It's not NASCAR. So.
However, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron. I'm going to keep going down my list of drivers that I have here that have had tire problems. Daniel Suarez, BJ McLeod, and more. All had tire problems this weekend. Eric Jones had the lug nut get stuck on his car. It ruined his race. Ruined his race. NASCAR's got to figure it out. If we're going to have single lug nuts on the cars, you got to be able to get them on. You got to be able to tighten them, and you got to get. That's the only thing I got to say about that. However, on the bright side of that, Kyle Busch had the fastest pit stop this weekend in NASCAR history. I believe that 8.96 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel.
I want to say it was 8.93.
Something like that, but it was the fastest four-tile pit stop in NASCAR history with the single lug nuts. So congratulations to Kyle Busch, because that's a NASCAR record that's going to be real damn hard to break. Mm-hmm. And it honestly might get broken again this season, which would be so cool.
With the single lug nut, it's very possible. It's just a matter if the tires stay on.
I remember the days of a 12-second pit stop being like fast. Yeah. And now it's like if you're not in the eights, like don't even try. I guess go through the top 10 really quick. No. I want to talk about this really quick. Kurt Busch put on a freaking masterclass at Kansas Speedway this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Literally. I mean, come on. This man won stage 1. This man won stage 2. This man won the freaking race after Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson had beat him off of pit road. He recovered from the Kyle and Kyle show to win it at Kansas Speedway. And not only that, his teammate Bubba Wallace passed the most cars on track out of anybody. He passed 123 cars.
Dude,
under green. Crew. Yes, and his pit crew screwed him.
His pit crew lost him 64 positions in that race.
That is your big pit row boat and woe, for real. It was Bubba Wallace's pit crew. And as Corey LaJoy would say on the Stack and Pennies podcast, love the Stack and Pennies podcast. It's amazing. Ryan Flores, super cool. But 23-11, I guarantee you, I'm sorry, they would have had a 1-2 finish at this race.
Dude, I was gonna say,
it could have been interchanged. I don't know whether the 23 or the 45 would have. That 45 was fast, and
it's got to be the shoes.
Is it the shoes? I love it. But this man put on a masterclass. Denny Hamlin was very emotional after this race win. I haven't seen Denny Hamlin ever cry after a race win before. He cried as an owner. He didn't cry when Bubba Wallace won, which was their first win at Talladega, I think just because he was in shock. This man cried. Not only I think it's because of that, but both his cars finished in the top 10, and him and his 3 teammates finished in the top 10. So
all the Yodas were up there, bub.
The Yodas were up there. Yeah, let's read this top 10 really quick. Kurt Busch wins it, locks himself into the NASCAR playoffs, the 11th different winner we have had through 13 races. What? We're halfway through the regular season, and we have 11 different winners. That's freaking crazy.
That's interesting.
Dude. Can you believe that? That's just fire.
Feels like INDYCAR from last year.
Yeah. I mean, INDYCAR from this year, too.
That's facts.
Yeah, but INDYCAR last year, I think it took like 7 or 8 races for a duplicate winner.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, it's true. Plus, Penske didn't win for like
a long time. Long time.
Kurt Busch brings it home first. On the podium was Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. 4th place, Denny Hamlin. 5th place, Chris Bell. 6th place, Martin Truex Jr. 7th place, Ross Chastain. Consistency. 8th place was our group pick. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. brings it home, his 3rd straight top 10. Good for that team. 9th place was Alex Bowman. 10th place was Bubba Wallace. Now, I feel like this race was good, but because of that glaring issue with the tires, it kind of hurts a little bit. I liked this race. I loved this race, actually. But since that tire issue gave it what it did, I'm going to have to give it an 8.3 out of 10. What do you think, Jay? What was your ranking for
Honestly,
Kansas?
I give it an 8.5. Like, dude, these intermediate tracks, like, whatever it is, like if it is Goodyear or whatever the teams are doing, whatever, and they just got to get that fixed, and it's great. It's great. Like, dude, like, I'm just so happy. Like, NASCAR's finally got that dirty air problem figured out. Same with F1. Like, so yeah, like it's insane. Like, just to see the dramatic difference of racing from like the last 3 seasons compared to this season now. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Let's hear it, Daniel.
I feel like for me, I'd probably say like 7.9. Like very good, very good. But the problems with it kind of take it down a notch. I would say like if it weren't for all the tire problems and all the stuff happening, kind of causing teams to have like really bad days, I would say it'd probably be in like the high 8, maybe low 9 range, like maybe like a 9 flat. But I just think like the takeaways that they've happened all season, and I feel like it's just really taken me out of it. Like because every time there's a really good race, and then there's just some stupid dumb crap that happens that it's just like it keeps happening. Like why is it still happening? You would think they'd have it at least somewhat figured out by now. Like they would be trying to actively try new things. Like I know they probably don't want to go back to 4 or 5 lug nuts, but like wheels keep popping off. Like why is stuff like this still happening, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So
But
I wonder like what do they classify as the wheel coming off? Because if you've seen in the race, the hubcap, or not the hubcap, but the rim of the tire would stay on the car, but the actual carcass around the rim would literally rip off the tire. Like
I
you
really
guys-
don't
Right.
know.
Do they count that as the wheel coming off, or does it just have to be the entire wheel?
I think it's the entire wheel.
Okay, well that would make more sense. So I'm glad nobody gets penalized for that. Then.
Like BJ McLeod's freaking carcass came off the dang.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I'm talking
tire.
about. Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Like that. Just like.
It was weird, man.
And same with Suarez's, because I thought when Suarez hit the wall or whatever, I thought his what was it, left rear? I want to say his left rear.
It was. I think it was his right front actually.
No, it was a rear tire.
Was it a rear? It might have been his right rear then.
It was left or I don't fucking know. I'm tired, but basically like they like it just looked like the entire tire was bent sideways like that.
The entire tire.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. This race was crazy. However, great weekend of racing. You can't tell me otherwise. IndyCar and NASCAR both slapped this weekend. Anyone you talk to will tell you this weekend was incredible for racing. So, yeah, I guess this is weird. Let's go ahead and transition into motorsport media.
Might as well.
All right, let's just start with IndyCar with Daniel.
I mean, I don't have anything for IndyCar.
All right, I'll go first for F1 then. We can do that.
All right, I mean, I'm surprised you don't really have. We have nothing.
Yeah, no, because
Not really.
with the Indy 500 being in 2 weekends, the field's set, and we're at 33.
Well, there
So,
you go. Guess
Pretty much,
doing it.
unless there's some part-time teams that show up towards the end of the season, IndyCar news is starting to slow down, except for silly season stuff. But
Yeah,
we're only so far into the season, don't have that much of that yet.
Yeah.
it's facts.
But all right.
All right,
So
yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I'll start off for F1 news. Red Bull to introduce a major Barcelona development. I haven't read into the article too much, so I don't exactly know what they're developing. But hey, we know that there's a development coming for the Red Bull team. So, and then actually this weekend, Nick De Vries, Formula E driver, is going to be participating in FP1 for Williams Racing, because this is part of like the thing that F1 is doing this season, where they're trying to get more rookies involved with getting behind the wheel of the car, getting some licensing points and stuff up like that. Like I think Colton Hurd is gonna do one for McLaren. Yeah, McLaren.
Probably.
McLaren like later in the season. So cool to see that they're starting this week. So I'm glad to see Williams being the first team. So yeah, but that's all I got for F1 really. So that comes to you from Project Dive Bomb, by the way. Just want to say that.
Shout out to them because we get a lot of news from them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And all right, let's go ahead and go into NASCAR. I don't have a whole lot. Not a whole lot of news happened this weekend, but last week we reported that Matt Crafton was disqualified from Darlington. He appealed that disqualification penalty and won. So he got all of his points back. So super cool for that number 88 team. It's the first appeal I think that's actually been won this season.
I think
So that's pretty cool. Nick Sanchez is going to run 6 more races for BJ McLeod Motorsports in that 5 car. So I don't know why Matt Mills isn't in that car anymore, but he's not. It's interesting to me, but he's in that 5 car now. So he'll be running. His next race will be at. Where will it be? Oh, it doesn't say. But he's gonna be running at Moore, so that's cool. Andy Lally's gonna run the Xfinity race for Alpha Prime at Portland. That's cool.
Nice.
That's real cool.
Mhm.
True professional. I know, man. Like you can't not like Andy Lally. It's not said if he's gonna be in the 44 or the 45 yet. But just expect to see Andy Lally in those Alpha Prime colors.
Fire.
That's pretty cool. And I'm just going to say this kind of quickly. Junior Motorsports is on track for its best season of all time. Like, come on.
And they haven't even felt quite as dominant. As
No,
they have.
but they've just been getting top 5 after top 5 after top 5 after top 5. And like win, top 3, podium, win. It's just like crazy. And my last little piece of news is that Blake Shelton will be performing between the NASCAR Open and the All-Star race. And the NASCAR Open time was moved up a little bit more to make space for that concert.
Nice.
So,
Cool.
kind of cool. I mean, interesting. I mean, he's no Pitbull at the LA Clash or Ice Cube at the LA Clash. But, hey, cool for that.
Hey, Blake.
So what
Yeah,
I'm
it's all
hearing
like-
is Blake Shelton's performing at both NASCAR and IndyCar events this season. I don't know.
Very cool. But yeah, that's all I got here. Let's go ahead and transition to questions. Okay, so as we always try to do, one question for each of us per week. Here's my question I'm going to bring you guys in today. Could we see a rookie win the Indy 500? We have 5 rookies competing in the Indy 500 this season. Kyle Kirkwood, David Malukas. We have Christian Lundgaard, Callum Ilott, and I'm forgetting one, Devlin DeFrancesco. Those are our 5. Is it possible that we could see a rookie win the Indy 500? I'll start this one with Jay.
Okay, so we saw David Lucas. He got his highest career finish so far at Texas, P11. That's great for his first time in an IndyCar on an oval. That's relatively the same speed as IMS, not the same track shape, but relatively the same speed as IMS. So that's an interesting take, you know what I'm saying? And but honestly, I feel like if it's gonna come from any of the rookies, I love David, but if it's gonna come from any of the rookies, I honestly see it from Callum or Christian, in my opinion.
See, I kind of go the other way with that because I don't actually think it would be Callum or Christian because they've been super strong on the road courses. However, the ones that we've seen strong on the ovals have been Kyle Kirkwood and David Malukas. So I think he would honestly be one of them. I might give the edge to Kirkwood.
I forgot about Kirkwood because he crashed out at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that man was schmoving
Yeah,
through that
he
field.
was, yeah.
But if I could give it to an edge to a rookie, I'd probably give it to to Kyle barely over David. Just because of what we saw at Texas. Even though David had a P11 at Texas, Kirkwood, I believe, made the Fast 12 there. So he was schmoving. But I don't know. Daniel, what do you think? Is there a possibility we could see a rookie win the Indy 500?
It's always possible. Like, it's very much possible. I think, for me, the 2 rookies that I think would be the most likely candidates, obviously Kyle Kirkwood. Like, I feel like that's a pretty consensus pick. We all know it's very possible because that man is so good. Doesn't matter what car he's in. It's always going to contend for like a top 10. He's a wheelman. He is a wheelman. He will try to push that car, that 14 car, to the highest possible capacity that it has. And so far, he's done pretty good with it for the most part. Obviously, he's had some crashes, some bad luck, but for the fact that he's in like an AJ Foyt car and he's like making the fast 12 and qualifying, like that's pretty impressive. But I know you guys didn't say anything about him because it's kind of like a wild card. But Devlin DeFrancesco, at least in Indy Lights, was pretty good on ovals, and he is a very aggressive driver, which sometimes is really bad, sometimes is really good. The Indy 500 is one of those events where aggressive driving is very high risk but very high reward. You're either going to fail miserably or you're going to be in contention for a win. I could see someone like Devlin DeFrancesco, who's had not the greatest season so far. I could see him have a good run at it. I don't know if he'll like qualify super high or if he'll be in contention all day, but I could see someone like Devlin DeFrancesco making a run for it.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see that too. But like, I feel like it's Kyle Kirkwood's the man to beat. So, but hey, what do I know? Let's go ahead and Jay, what's the question you're bringing to the table today?
Well, I mean, I guess this can kind of transition us into our prediction segment if you want me to.
Well, then we'll do Daniel's question then.
That works,
Okay.
That works.
Yeah. So my question actually has to do with our good friend at Burnout Sports, Tony Donahue. He tweeted out, what Indy 500 win would mean the most to you guys? Like, out of any of the drivers, it could be a new driver, it could be someone getting another win. Like, what driver winning the Indy 500 would mean the most to you?
Okay, so I'll go first. Because Scott Dixon is my favorite driver in IndyCar of all time. Like, he's the first driver I watched win an IndyCar race, or at least that I can remember, in 2008 for the Indy 500, actually. So if he were to win this year's Indy 500, that would mean a lot to me. But I think what would actually like be more personal is this man right here. If he won,
Mm-hmm.
that man right there. If he won, that I would probably cry for that man. I would. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I would. I really would. I mean, I don't know.
For those of you that aren't watching, you pointed to his David Malukas hat.
Yeah, I'm glad you threw that in there because I forgot we have but yeah,
Audio.
Yeah, audio. But yeah, probably those two, honestly, because I've never seen my favorite driver win a race in person ever. So just seeing Scott Dixon win a race in person. So David or Scott Dixon, one of them two.
I feel like the one that would get me the most emotional would be seeing Marco Andretti finally win the Indy 500.
Ooh, yeah.
That would get me. That would really get me. Growing up as a huge Marco, huge Elio Castroneves fan, if I could watch Elio win his 5th Indy 500 or watch Marco finally win, I would cry. Yeah. I would bawl. Another one that could get me, Joseph Newgarden. That if he would win it, that could get me. Even Roman Grosjean, if he would win the Indy 500, just because of everything that he's been through, I'd shed a tear for that man. I feel like those are mine.
What about you, Daniel?
You know, I feel like there's a lot of really good options. Like, obviously, Tristan said Elio getting his 5th would be super cool because he'd be the first person to ever do that. I'm looking through the list of drivers just to see like which ones just like in my mind, just envisioning them happening like would be really cool. I think Graham Rahal finally getting one.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about Graham.
He hasn't won in so long, and he's always really consistent and really good. Obviously, he had bad luck last year, and he always seems to be like in good position.
He probably could have won that race last year, in my opinion.
He wasn't probably. He was going to win that race.
He was the top 3
He had
car.
the best strategy. He had the best car. You can't tell me that Graham Rahal wasn't going to win that race.
I think the only other option besides that, well, I think there's 2 for me that'd be cool. One would be Tony Kanaan because he won the first 500 I was there for.
He won
and it'd be cool since he's just part-time and he's tried to retire.
He's a one-off.
He wanted to retire 2 years ago, but obviously with COVID and not being able to do that 500 in front of fans, he wanted to keep going, and he's still going. I'd like to see him get one more before he goes out and retires. I think that'd be cool. But the one that'd be the coolest for me, also a part-time guy, Ed Carpenter.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about
Hometown guy,
I didn't even think about
has
it.
tried for so long, knows this course. He knows IMS so well. He's gotten, 2 poles? He's always really, really good. He just hasn't had that lucky moment to finally be there on the last lap.
You're not wrong.
And I just think that would be really cool. I think the entire place would just explode.
Oh, I know.
Everyone would go nuts.
I know I would.
It's gonna be interesting. That's really interesting. All right, Jay. What's your question, sir?
Let's
That
just
you're
go
bringing to the
ahead
table?
and transition into race predictions. Okay, so now that we're transitioning over to the race predictions, I actually wanted to ask you guys, what is your front row predictions for the Indy 500? Since it's this
Ooh,
weekend.
I'm glad you said that, my man. I'm glad you said that.
This
Man,
weekend.
Fast Fridays this weekend. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's tough. Should I go 3-1 or should I go 1-3?
1 to
Whichever you feel like.
I think I gotta go 3-1. I think I gotta go
whichever
3-1.
one- yeah, whichever one works.
So, front row, I'm picking that 33 of Ed Carpenter. That has to be on my front row, just because it has to be. Second, I'm gonna go with Scott Dixon.
Okay.
However, first place, my pole prediction is Rinus VeeKay. That is my pole prediction that I'm going to be sticking with. Yes, I have 2 Ed Carpenter racing cars on the front row. Deal with it.
They're
always
good at
fast.
IMS.
They're always
They are
fast.
good at
They're
IMS.
always fast. They were fast last year too. So.
Deal with it. Those are mine. That's mine. What do you got, Dan?
Okay. I'm going to go 3-2-1, okay?
All right.
3. This is kind of an oddball pick.
Hey, there's always
I'm
an
going
oddball.
Jimmy Johnson.
Oh my god, dude.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, I think he'll make the Fast 9. I'm sorry, Fast
That's
6.
fair.
Nah, he won't make the Fast 6. I think he'll make the Fast 9. I don't know if he'll be a front row.
I don't know. I think it'd be a cool story, and I think he's very much capable of it. It's just a matter of if the cards fall in the right
Right.
area, right system. It really just depends on the day, honestly. At number 2 on the front row, I've got Rinus VeeKay. Really good at this track. He was on the front row last year. He's in another Bitcoin car.
Yeah.
Ed Carpenter Racing is really good at the Indy 500 and qualifying. I think he gets a front row. Pole position. Tristan, you didn't say this guy at all. Pato O'Ward.
Ooh.
Good pick.
He's very good at IMS. I don't believe he's made the front row or whatever, but I think he finished 3rd last year.
Yeah, no, Pagano finished 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was in contention for a decent bit of the day.
I
I
only
think
know that Pagano finished 3rd because he passed. I don't remember. I just remember that thing of he was like, "I was there," and
Mhm.
that kind of whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Pato O'Ward gets a pole.
Oh, that's a good pick. Jay, who's on your front row?
Okay, so I actually talked about this with Tony a little bit earlier. And so they posted something on Burnout Sports on their Twitter page asking this question. That's why I asked this question here. And I was talking to him about this a little bit earlier. And so my top 3, my front row lockout is going to be all Honda. Third
Okay.
Okay,
is going to be Alex Palou.
good pick. Good.
Second is going to be Colton Herta.
Okay.
First, who you guys think I'm going to say?
Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
You're predictable. But I mean, hey, I got Scott Dixon on my front row, so I mean, I can see it happening, man.
For sure. But
Yeah, good one.
that's my
Good prediction.
question. If
There
we
you go.
keep- If we want to keep going into predictions, you can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Might
Let's
as
do our
well.
quick predictions for the NASCAR race because hey, we're kind of have an off week from NASCAR. However, it's not the off week that you would think. All right, so we're starting with NASCAR. Coca-Cola 600s next week, which means this week we got the All-Star race. Who's your All-Star race prediction? You get one pick, and then your underdog, I guess, to win the All-Star race. Remember, not everyone makes the All-Star So it's going to be really interesting. My pick to win the All-Star race. Oof. Man, this is tricky. It's weird because not only do we have like the All-Star race, we also have the All-Star Open, and like some of these guys that go from the All-Star Open are really good. But I'm going to pick this race does not. Screw it. Martin Truex Jr. That's my pick. It was between him and Chris Bell. I'm going Martin Truex Jr. My underdog, Tyler Reddick. That is my underdog. Again, picking him until he wins.
Okay. He said he's picking him until he wins.
Daniel, who do you got?
Kyle Larson. Like, I feel like we're waiting on that phase like last year where Kyle Larson just goes on a tear. I think he gets the All-Star race, and then wild card. I want to see it happen. I want Tyler Reddick. Not even gonna lie, it's just because my heart wants it. It needs to happen soon.
Jay, who you got?
So winning the All-Star race, I have Mr. Joey Logano.
Okay.
And then as my underdog, Tyler Reddick.
There you go. I mean, it's kind of one of those tracks that he's just good at. So, I mean, hey, I can see it happening.
I'm gonna be interested to see how Texas is with racing, actually.
I'm excited to see how Texas is with the next gen, bro.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
To be honest with you, it's gonna be weird. But hey, the race that probably everyone's the most excited for this weekend is Barcelona. So Jay, let's go off over to talk all about Spain.
Shoot, bud. I was waiting for you to talk to me about it. All right, we're at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the what is it? It's a Pirelli GP weekend. That's the
Yeah.
Pirelli. So we're doing podium predictions now. We're not doing winners.
Oh yeah.
Podium predictions. I'm gonna go with Daniel first. What is your podium, Mr. Daniel?
Okay. Winner, Charles Leclerc.
Okay.
P2,
Okay.
Carlos Sainz.
Okay.
Ooh, Ferrari 1-2.
I think we get Ferrari 1-2. Third, Valtteri Bottas.
Oh, interesting.
He's been running pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because I kind of got him in my. First place for me, I'm gonna go with Checo Perez. I'm gonna go Sergio. Second place, I have Valtteri Bottas. And then rounding out my podium, I see a bad weekend from. Don't know why. I just do. There you go.
We can't hear your third pick.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I said it. I'll just start that over, I guess. Sorry, I don't know. It might be my mic. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You just went really quiet.
All right, what's the time?
I put it in at the last one. This time it's 1:10:24.
Sorry.
You're good.
Damn, this episode's an hour and it's gonna be
Yeah,
2
we
hour
need to
episode.
hurry. We need to hurry up.
All right, so my predictions. First place winning this race, I got Checo. I got Sergio Perez. Second place, I got Valtteri Bottas. Third place, I'm gonna go Lando Norris. I don't see Ferrari on the podium this weekend. It's just me.
Interesting. Well,
Jay, who do you got?
my picks are actually very basic.
Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc,
No.
George Perez,
No.
George Russell.
No. So first is Mr. Max Verstappen. Second is Mr. Sergio Perez. Third is Mr. Charles Leclerc.
I literally just
Just out of order.
You just flipped the last two.
That's hilarious. But yeah, this race is gonna be real. I like Barcelona. It's a cool track. So, yeah, let's do Xfinity real quick before I do group pick. We have Xfinity and we have trucks. For Xfinity series,
One pick each.
one pick each for those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Xfinity, I'm gonna go Noah Gragson. Truck series, I'm gonna go Ryan Preece. Dan, who do you got?
Let's see. Trucks. I'm gonna keep picking until it happens. Carson Hocevar. Xfinity. I'm feeling Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's a good pick. Jay, who you got?
I got a Josh Berry win coming in Xfinity. And then in trucks, I want Carson Hocevar to win, so I'm choosing Carson Hocevar too.
There you go. But yeah, group pick for this week has to be an F1, since we don't really have a real race in the Cup Series or in the IndyCar Series this week. I feel like our group pick this week, and this is kind of one that I really want to happen. So
I
I
know what
think
you're gonna say.
No, you don't. My group pick this week for us is George Russell.
Ooh.
I think that I'd
Okay.
like to see that man get his first win. Do you guys agree with that one for our group pick this week?
I would say either Russell or Ricciardo.
Ooh, Ricciardo. It's up to you, Jay. Do you want Russell or you want Ricciardo pick?
I want to go with Russell, in my opinion.
All right, then we'll go Russell.
Feels more confident in Russell.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, but I guess George Russell, that's our group pick this week. I like how we have been these group picks. They're kind of cool. So,
Also,
hey,
those
I like them.
totals, I just wanted to say before we move on, those totals on the right are not completely added up yet. But out of the picks that we have had from our preseason predictions, we have not went back through the episodes yet and got the total actual official caught up predictions. But those are the current tally from how we have them from preseason predictions, just so there was something in there, you know. So, but yeah, Daniel is kicking our butt. He has 6, I have 3.
Daniel's
Tristan has
great.
I don't know how.
Daniel's
I don't know
straight
how.
grass, dude.
And it's been all NASCAR.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it was like my IndyCar ones haven't been great.
Tristan has the
I
most.
think I'm winning IndyCar.
Yeah, you
I'm
are
winning IndyCar.
And then I'm just kind of like there in both. But yeah, so nice.
Because
Hey.
NASCAR, I'm just bold. Like,
Yeah. Speaking of bold things that are going to be happening, guess what's this week, guys?
What's that?
We got qualifying for the damn Indy 500, baby.
Oh, man.
Speaking of the Indy 500, guys, we are going to be at the track almost every single day this week. Jay's not going to be there Tuesday and Thursday.
Friday.
Tuesday and Friday?
Yeah.
Not Tuesday, Thursday. Tuesday and Friday. So Jay won't be there on Fast Friday. But if you guys want to say what's up to us, just send us a tweet at Indy Boys Podcast, and we will try to find you guys. Just let us know where you are, and we will come to you guys, or you guys can come to us. I don't really care. We just want to meet as many of you guys. So hey, that's what we do. It's gonna be a great weekend. We got All-Star race at Texas. I'm not really excited for it, but hey, it's out there. I just had a hiccup. Oh my goodness. We have Barcelona, and we got freaking qualifying for Indy 500. It's gonna be lit. So, hey, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and sign this episode off. All right, so this is gonna be a good weekend. My name is Tristan Grider, signing off for Daniel Chaney and Justin Cox. Follow us on all of our social medias at Indy Boys Racing Podcast. Thank you so much to Burnout Sports and to everyone that helps us support this show. We couldn't do it without you guys. Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you guys get your podcasts, that's where we are. Have a good one, guys.
just say
Go ahead.
something real quick?
Go
Can I
ahead.
just
Go
say
ahead.
something
Go
real
ahead.
Okay, so this episode may have been kind of spotty or chaotic because we are exhausted from this last weekend and we're
Yeah.
still recuperating. So we apologize for that. It may not have been as normal as an episode as
It's also a long episode, guys. We really apologize for that, but I am exhausted. I've been falling asleep and yawning this entire episode.
right.
But the 106 Indy 500 is almost upon us.
I believe that it is 13 days away, 12 days away. Now actually.
Yeah.
I remember when it was 50.
It's getting close, guys. It's very cool. It's very cool. Have a good one, guys. Peace.